but maybe we'll get a nice video and make it super public of Barbara twerking for her husband only. No. All right, guys. Well, welcome everyone. There's a couple people kind of hanging out with us. Let me make sure this is all good. YouTube is recorded and that's kind of all working. So let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. If you guys have anybody in the Super Easy team who's not on this call, they probably should be. Not because everything I say or do is end all be all, but because there's something really awesome that you should see in any system. And I'm a kind of a really big advocate of that in terms of learning how to trade across the board. I don't think any one system is amazing. I think every system requires rules, as you guys know. But let's take a look. Oh, see, I'm probably breaking stuff. But let's take a look at what we could see from the trades that we called last week, well, 2 weeks ago, which was live, which was recorded. Lord knows I don't know how to video edit. I don't know why it's not letting me do this. So share advanced. I might have to do this a little bit interesting for a second. So sorry about this, guys. It's not letting me do what I want it to do. So give me a second with all my technical difficulties. That's the portion I want to share. I don't know why it's being a pain. Stop share now and try this again. It's not giving me my control box. But as I was saying, to see what's possible with the trades we discussed 2 weeks ago live on YouTube, live with the simplicity, with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Honest to God, I have been busy. I have not even myself went over these results, so we're going to get them all together in one. But can you guys back me up and tell me if you guys just see this, or do y'all see my whole desktop?
Just
Yeah,
see
we see
that.
your
Super
logo.
easy beginner class.
Okay. Well, thank you for being my sounding board, because otherwise it doesn't give me the nice box that tells me, hey, your privacy is being protected, because Zoom has no respect for my privacy. So yeah. Anyways, real quick disclaimer that says everything we talk about today is for educational purposes only. So please keep in mind everything we discuss is for educational purposes, meaning I am not your financial advisor. I am not your attorney. It is just another person on the other end of the screen who happened to get good at some rules and who kind of loves hanging out with some like-minded, incredible people and all the other good stuff. And that's it. So don't trade what you can't afford to lose, and please stick with it long enough to get good at it. Otherwise, just like anything else, if you start and stop and start and stop, you're going to become an expert at a whole bunch of nothing and get a whole bunch of nowhere. So my ultimate all-time favorite thing, I think, has been my thing for like the past several months, is this whole nice little quote that says, $3 million today, or a single penny doubled for 31 days. So this was a nice spreadsheet. It's one of the only ones we could get on this template because, well, we are not that computer savvy, but we're good enough to trade. So there's that. But it's kind of cool to watch, this at a dinner party. Most people, if you ask them that question, they don't know that, yes, legit, honest to God, a penny doubled every day for 31 days is potentially millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that's the idea of what we're doing here. It's not all of us had access to 500,000 or 50,000. Not all of us had access to $5,000 in terms of trading. The purpose is to be able to take small amounts of money and compound them into enough, not just to buy a Gucci belt, but to pay your bills. Maybe buy some investment properties or buy some tax liens or pay off debt or, donate to your favorite nonprofit, but to do something meaningful to actually find freedom in your life and what you're doing. So a whole bunch of little tips and tricks on how to compound effectively. You guys can take a screenshot of that. It's nothing high class. It's not all that advanced. It's really, really simplistic. Because it is. It literally is at the end of the day. So take a screenshot. Not reading all that. We went super long on our meeting this morning. So, yep, I'm not using my voice on that. Sorry. But you got your screenshot. So, ta-da. Let's go ahead and go straight to the charts. I think Miss Donna's on here, so let me make sure she's an admin. Well, she's in charge because she's kind of a boss. Let's see, make her the co-host so she can control anything she needs to control. And then she can also hopefully double check and make sure.
I'm just cooking really quick. I'm coming.
It's okay. We had tacos, as you know.
I can hear you while I'm cooking.
Okay. I got you. You're co-host. You're all good to go. So if you can just double check YouTube every so often, that would be amazing.
Okay.
Otherwise, I promise you go finish cooking. So, okay, guys, on my desk, which is admittedly a little bit of a mess. I need to go through some papers, but that aside, I have on my desk the same exact trades we discussed 2 Tuesdays ago. Live, I have honestly not went over them in public or myself. I took a handful of them, had a trade manager managing them. I have not checked. I have looked at new trades, but I have not went back and looked at these results to find out the profitability, the pluses, the minuses. I have not back tested this or forward, recorded the data that I've got. So everything we're about to see, we're going to see it together with our own two eyes for the first time. So I'm going to get a fresh piece of paper because this isn't my personal trade, so I'm not putting it in my journal, but a fresh piece of paper, nice little pen to discuss this. So 2 Tuesdays ago, we went over a handful of trades. We said a couple of them weren't advantageous, and that was really the GBP odd. There was a couple of GBP trades that just weren't looking good, but ultimately we did look at these. So let's see what we saw. I don't think my vertical line is going to stay put, which was my experience prior to class, unfortunately. But the date on that call was 4/6 and approximately 300, right? I'm pretty sure that was daylight savings time in London was over at that time, but don't quote me, I could be wrong. So anywhere between 3 or 4, give or take an hour. But we're on a bigger time frame, so that's not, super, super significant. It will make a theoretical difference, but not, numerically, statistically, horribly different. But we looked at this trade. I had been waiting for this to sell off personally for quite a bit. I'm starting with this one because, well, to be honest, everybody was waiting for this one to sell off quite a bit, and it just kept not being ready. It just wasn't ready across the board. We did get a 1 hour entry. I think we got a 1 hour and a 30. The 4 hour had not come in yet. So my hope is to go over these trades with you guys live publicly to show you what's possible if you just take a trade, even on the bigger time frames, even swing trading, even without having it all figured out, right? Just take a trade. This is what's possible. So this is ATM. These aren't the exact settings that we had set last month or two based off of Super EZ. These are new updated settings, but still kind of comparable. And even if we cut down on what we saw and how many trades we won or lost in this last 2 week period, again, you're looking for not just what your average accuracy ratio is, but you're also looking for your net profitability. So even if you ended up losing more trades than you won, you're looking at how much you would have won on the winners, how much you would have lost on the losers. That's kind of the relevant point here. But we're just going to go through this one by one and kind of see if you have questions or pairs in the chart. Other than Daniel. Oh, Daniel, you're on here twice. Hey, guy, how are you? But other than Daniel and his Post Malone twerking and taco day, any questions, just let me know, or pairs, we'll go over that. Otherwise, we're going to start here, and I'm going to literally write this down together with you, same time. Not exactly the same way I did with my live trades because, well, I didn't take some of these live. Yeah. Let's mute you guys. I'm muting everyone. There we go. Now you're off screen so I can have a little bit of control. So CAD Chef was one of them, somewhere around 300 on 4/6/2021. You guys can all see that with your own eyes. Got your simplicity. Y'all know my settings. Slightly faster. So even if we go off of the absolute worst possible entry, let's go off of the very lowest. So we're going to miss out on those 24 pips. How many pips did you gain on this? That's 122. On a slow mover, not bad. Total of 200. But we're only going to go to here, 122. So with my current settings, which are slightly different, I loosened up the exit from a few weeks ago. But from my current settings on my trade manager, which is almost available to the general public, going off of the worst entry, not the best. So I'm going to say it again, the worst entry, not the best. The worst entry, I still would have gained approximately, 300-400 pips. Well, sorry, this is a Forex pair, 30 pips, 30 to 40 pips in total. Not bad at all. Kind of go there. So we're going to write down 120 plus 120 is how much this moved. And that's that. So right now we can't really call a signal on this or say that it's worth buying. We're obviously kind of still selling off, not looking for anything. We had drawn these take profit lines. It hit both of them from where we were looking and where we discussed this a few weeks ago. But I can't verify that was on this pair because of the way MT4 does their lines. So I'm not going to dare say all the way to here. I just don't think that's valid. So we bounce around too much on this template. But the next trade we went over last week, 2 weeks ago, live on YouTube was CAD Chef, old CAD JPY. And remember, we didn't say we were going to take all of these. I'm going to remove all the lines. Go to Objects, Control A, delete all of them. So we have a clean template because I don't know if those what those lines exactly were for. I know we drew some on US 30 on UJ and on CAD Chef, but I don't recall on any other ones. So CAD JPY 1 hour time frame. We're looking for the 6th of April. We're looking for approximately that 3 to 400 candle, right? Really wish this line would stay still, but it's not. So I have to draw it again. So same kind of concept. I'm going to minimize, get an idea of how much this moved. So even if we only took it to the next signal, which happened to be a fake out and definitely repainted, worst entry, not best entry. So it's really zoomed in, kind of ugly. This moved a total of 136 pips. Not bad. This one did not hit your stop. This was not every signal is going to be a great signal, and learning on which ones to take is a big deal. You're going to get lots of signals, guys, and you're not always going to be right. You take some losses. We took losses this morning, but ultimately you're going for the overall profitability. So let me write that down. I'm going to write down how many pips we would have gained and or lost because I have not went through this yet. It's 144. We're going to round down to 140. CAD, JPY, plus 140. Using, gosh, I wish this wouldn't do that. Let's see. Did anybody take any of these trades from that call? Did anybody really take any of these trades? So using my settings, well, my current settings more accurately, I would have only got about 40 pips, but I would have got them safely without having to micromanage, without having to baby the trade. You know, that's still not a bad way to be. And for that, I'm grateful. Like, I don't want to have to babysit. I don't want to have to freak out. I don't want to have to worry about every single thing. I want to take my trades and for the most part, either be scalping in and out, go on with my day, or if I am swing trading, I want the manager to know what's going on and I don't have to fuss about it because I know I took reasonable trades with reasonable settings and I moved on with my life. So not bad at all. 400 or 40-ish pips based off of using the trade manager. So, and done that safely without micromanagement. Let's see. I had asked, I think somebody was trying to admit themselves, but then they didn't. We looked at Euro CAD. We were mostly focused on the CAD pairs because, well, those were the ones we were waiting to pop off. But did anybody take any of the trades from last Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays ago? Do you remember? Did you take them? On YouTube, did you take any of them? Did you wait for an entry? Here we go. Let's come here. Let's find the 6th. There we go. This, again, same concept. We were waiting for this to buy forever, and it just was not ready. 4-6 was way over here. I wish I didn't have to draw a line every single time, but I do because I got to try to be accurate. So 300 or 400, depending on what day daylight savings was ended in London. But remember, we're not being super specific. We're just showing an accumulative result from 2 weeks ago that we can verify in real time. It's really easy to take lots of micro losses and micro wins and then to look at yourself and think, well, oh my gosh, I'm not a good trader. This is never going to work for me. How do I do this? What's going on? But if you can go back and you can do this in a completely different new light, right? There's a beautiful little song that's called If You See Me in a New Light. I can't sing it because it's live and recorded, but it's a good song. Like if you come on these charts and you start looking at this with a new light, not this I won today, I lost today view, but you look at it from this bigger picture from the past 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months, you'll see what's possible. So same thing, EuroCAD was literally next on my list. I can post a really chicken scratch screenshot of all the trades we went over, but using my trade manager, which means I didn't micromanage it. I didn't worry, I didn't fuss, and I did not protect. I did not worry about anything. It was done for me. Remember, slightly different settings than we were using 2 to 4 weeks ago. But still, same kind of mentality. 46 pips, hands free, totally good. Get an alert for it, and you're done. You get to go on with your day. You get to go on with your life and not have to worry about a darn thing. So without the trade manager, I'm not going to go all the way to the next entry. I'm just going to measure, again, lackadaisically. Worst case entry, 220. We'll round down to 200. EuroCAD. I wonder if you guys are going to get bored with counting pips with me. Is anybody going to get bored with seeing this? And how do you manage your trades with the manager? Settings. Rob, are you in the advanced membership group? If you can unmute yourself, you totally should. I really like talking to you more than the chat if possible. Let's see. You unmute. It's on the bar of your Zoom. Everyone's is a little different, and since I'm the host, mine looks different. But in theory, it's on the left bar of your Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How you doing, Jenny?
Fantastic, and yourself?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I was in it for a little while, but due to me working, I had to get out. And I remember listening to one of your videos when you was talking about a trade manager. I was just curious, how did you manage your swing trades, like with the settings?
So
Like,
right now, like HTM is only available for beta testing inside of that group. Eventually, Mr. Scott, he's the creator of it, will have it on his own store. So right now you have a little bit more time to test it, see if it's worth it while to you. But it's in beta testing inside of the Super EZ Advanced Signal membership group only. It's the only place in the world you can get it. So before I had to do really broken and private math. I have some, what is it called? Documents and PDFs. I forget what kind of document, if it's Windows or Apple based. But I do have some of those inside of the files of Super Easy that literally breaks down step by step how I manage the trades to make, good money with the triple arrow system, the original triple arrow system. It shows you exactly step by step how I did that in terms of I set multiple take profits, I used trailing stops, I used multiple entries because at the time I didn't know any better or I didn't know how to do anything better. So now I can literally place the entry on my trade, have this manage it reasonably close to what I was doing and actually more effectively and go on with my life. And we're not going to win them all. We will lose too.
oh,
Not
of
bad.
course, yeah. Okay, I was just curious how your eyes seen it and how you managed it.
Well, here's the thing. Depending on your settings and the time frame, I still am not an advocate of like simplicity on the smaller time frames. It's just my preference. It doesn't mean it won't work for somebody else. It just means I don't like it. There are going to be some that you just couldn't get out of. There's going to be some that you lose. And I have a really good, I'm working on a really good written out plan that will, and hopefully I can prove it and document the results via my FX book. But I'm working on a plan that can show you if you put your stop loss here, you manage it accordingly based off of ATR or ADR, again, based off of the time frame that you're using. You have a system in place for reentries or wrong repainting entries, right?
Mhm.
To show you
Gotcha.
how long it will work. So for me, if I show you, and this is probably the great bad example, I'm going to zoom in on this one so you can see the candles. Anybody who works with me knows I was waiting for this to sell off for a while, right? And it just kept not selling off. So I'm going to minimize one more time to show you. We were trying to sell off down here too, and it technically did a little. And depending on, that's not really profitable. As you can see, it's not, there's no profit in this because it's a small mover. I mean, you'd have to have best case scenario entry, which is not practical, but it's just not a super fast mover. So there's no room. But how I would manage it is I'm taking my entry, I get my signal. I need the next candles to move in the same direction. That's number one. Number two, my stop loss is going to be above structure plus room. So I don't want to get wicked out with the spring. So it's going to be above structure plus room if I'm selling and below structure plus room if I'm buying, right? And then the way I am going to decide my take profits is going to be literally I'm looking to the left for structure. I'm looking for places where prices stopped before. I'm looking at the ADR and the ATR, so like how much it can move in total. I don't want to have a 500 pip take profit on a pair that moves 50 pips a day.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't want to have a 50 pip take profit on a pair that moves 500 pips a day either. So having specific information per pair is really, really important, and structure. And then my middle ground is obviously what you see moving around on the screen all crazy and willy-nilly is this trade manager. So let me find a good example. Not to say that's where we would enter, but to show you how it's managing. Let me zoom in. Not to say this is where I would enter, but this just to show you how it's managing. If I took an entry somewhere on this candle, my stop loss is going to be above structure. Okay, depending on what time frame and everything else I'm on, right? And then my trail is going to keep me in it. I'm going to partially take profit all the way down, right? And I have an exit that says if price closes approximately here, if I'm going to get knocked out. Then I have a trailing stop that says if price even touches here, I'm going to get knocked out. So there's backup after backup after backup in terms of how to manage this trade.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
like the ADR. I didn't think about that. Like I just used to do I just would do like 1-to-1 and then have another one that's trailing with structure. But the ADR, that's pretty smart, knowing how much pips that pair is average moving. I have to put that
Well,
in my arsenal.
you do. Well, so seriously, guys, people try to teach you and they can try to convince you, oh my gosh, have a 1-to-1. I mean, that's the best way to trade. Have a 1-to-2. And you think it makes sense. And when you're trading for a couple of years, it honestly does make sense, right? You're thinking, well, if I just have a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, then I have to be successful. Well, the problem with that is the one you lost could have been the one that had this huge, and have a different value per pair. So remember, every pair you trade has a different value. US dollar pairs are all worth $10 a pip, but then some of these are only worth 6. Some of them are worth 13, right? So having a 1-to-1 does not mathematically make you accurate or withdrawable, right? It doesn't make you profitable having a 1-to-1 or even having a 2-to-1. And I'd even argue reasonably well that having a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio and a 70% accuracy still will not guarantee you a profitable strategy, because there's so many other variables. There's the value per pair, there's the amount that each pair moves. When you add all those variables in, it all comes out in the wash, and then you think, okay, well, the loss you took happened to be the loss that was worth twice as much as the wins you took, and it just comes out that way. It's the axiom of trading and investing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the best, coolest thing in the world, and it's free, and it's in all the groups. It's called the Bar Alert. You should totally download it. I put it in there.
All righty. Now, which one would you I see you have like a 1 week, a 4 week, and a 12 week. Which one do you go by? Do you just average by with all three of them that you have down there?
I don't use this one actually. For
Oh,
swing
okay.
trading, for swing trading, I do use this. There's another one that tells you. So go to. I'm gonna put my footman off. Hold on, real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Average true range. 14 hit. Okay. There's another indicator that pretty much gives you this data, but in the format of numbers, kind of like you see up here. And all this data right here tells you, again, it's free. It's installed in every MT4, well, pretty much any platform. This data tells you that this one moves, that's actually, I'm assuming 13 pips. You see this number over here? So this moves anywhere from 10 to 15 pips an hour, 17 to 7 pips an hour. You see this?
Uh-huh.
So it fluctuates with price. It's a real price. And so it's always moving. The number that you see is always moving. This is just an average of the last 5 days, daily average. But if I was on the 1
Oh,
hour,
okay.
if I'm trading on the 1 hour or the 4 hour, I'm going to be using the 1 week ADR. Unless there's a huge differential here, then I'm going to be waiting for the big move or the big slowdown.
Gotcha.
Awesome. But thank you for your question. I hope that helps a little.
Thank you for answering. I appreciate you going into detail with me.
You never have to worry about that. Okay.
All right, I'm about to unmute myself.
Okay. Hey, John, you've got your hand raised, and I think so did Daniel. John, you got your hand raised?
Yeah, so today's my first day in your Zoom class. And so can you just explain to me what the trade manager is?
A trade manager. So a trade manager manages your trade, like in layman's terms. By definition, a trade manager manages your trades. Most people think that if they could just find the best way to take an entry, if they could just buy the next system, buy the next indicator, blah, 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 that is going to get you a whole bunch of nowhere, because best systems, best strategies, best whatever, if you don't know how to manage your trades, is literally senseless across the board. So a trade manager, we joke in the advanced membership group that it's an emotion manager. Somebody had called it the automatic emotion. I forget, I'm going to mess it up, but it was awesome. It manages your trade for you. So you know how like once you get in a trade, you're not sure where to take your profit, you're not sure where to put your stop loss, you're not sure when to protect or when to trim, or how to manage, or if you should put a trailing stop, or if you should move your stop loss, or if you should drag your take profit. You have all these decisions to make once you're in the trade, right?
Yeah.
Well, though, from the second you decide to be in the trade, most people make 90% of their mistakes after that moment. Like you see all the quotes on the internet, all the gurus who are 1,000 times smarter than me will tell you stuff like trading is 90% psychology and 10% skill. Trading is, 90% waiting and 10% action. Trading is blah, blah, blah by, the majority is going to be your emotional control, your mental and your emotional capacity to grow and adapt psychologically, like across the board. Every strategy, everything you're about to learn, if you're going to learn anything, that's the part you need to work on. So there are many forms and many different ones on the market that will manage your trade. Some of them will only give you a take profit and a stop loss. Some of them will scale you in or scale you out, but none of them does what this one particularly does. This one was built by like a literally, computery guy. Gosh, it's so rude of me. I forget what he does. Oops, now I'm gonna have to deal with that later. But he works in somebody. Derek, what does he do?
The
Sorry,
belly dancer. No, I don't know what he does now besides coding. I mean, I'm not sure now.
yeah, I
He's
forget.
done
Yeah.
a lot, you know.
Don't quote me on what he does, but it's something to do with logistics or engineering or computer stuff. So moving beyond that, he built this trade manager that now manages trades in every way. So it can manage trades using Ichimoku. It can manage trades using moving averages. It can manage trades using fractals or parabolic SARs or levels or everything you can think of. For the most part, it will manage it accordingly. So you'll have many ways to get out of the trade and many ways to baby the trade all the way down once you're in it. But ultimately, you set your settings, particularly using ATR, right? Because that means you can use this on any pair or index or crypto. You set your settings and now you can use it everywhere. So you can use the same settings with a similar strategy or the same strategy and be profitable and not let your emotions and your feelings and you were hangry or you were fussing with your significant other or you were bored or you really wanted to go buy the shoes and then you make some silly decision to where you're now micromanaging the trade and you end up losing more than you ever gained. So ultimately it manages your trades.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Woody.
That's now with the trade manager, two questions. Now, if you're in a swing trade, does your computer have to be on for it to work?
You need a VPS no matter what. If you're going to
Okay,
have any EAs, you need a VPS.
okay. And did he say when he's going to be putting it for sale?
A couple of weeks. He just moved his beautiful wife across the country. So unlike most people who move south, they move north. So I haven't bugged him. I've totally backed off to give them just some space because they're trying to get their home settled and just breathe, right? So I believe it's coming in the next couple of weeks. Don't let my mouth put a timeline on something that I'm not in control of, but somewhere in that time frame.
Okay, where will it be for sale at?
It'll be on his store, which you'll get access through probably from these YouTubes for right now. Check back in 2 weeks when my next live is, or check back in the membership group for Super Easy.
Okay, did he say what the price is going to be?
I'm not 100% sure. I think he's still bouncing around the price. I think he mentioned one last week, but he got some feedback on it, so we'll see.
Okay. So I know I asked a lot of questions. I asked a ton of questions.
No, you're good. Honestly, that's what I did. I was the person asking way more questions than I should have, and more power to you. I totally commend that. Okay, John, you've got your hand raised real quick, and then we'll go on. Or while you're unmuting yourself, we'll talk about US 30. Oh, there you are, John. Come on out.
So will it be managing from one triple arrow signal to the next? I'm
You
trying to
still,
see if I.
you still have to take your own entry. You still have to do your own entries, guys.
Oh, okay.
So no, it's not going to do that. And honestly, you don't want an EA to do that. Like in our minds, it feels all warm and fuzzy. Like, yeah, we should do that. But I go back and test that theory for 2 weeks on 10 pairs and then tell me if that would be net profitable or net loss. And I can almost assure you, depending on the time frame you're using, it will not be net profitable. I'm sure there's periods of the year where it will have worked out, but in general, across the board, trying to do it that way, you have too many moments like this, right? Where, yeah, no. So I'm going to go with no on that, but you don't want that to work that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not in your best interest. So Okay,
I'm
and
sorry, Miss Jenny. My hand was up, but I exited from my phone, but I had my hand raised up.
oh, come on out. Yeah, I thought it was up and then it disappeared. So
Yeah.
that happens a lot. So I try to just ignore those. But you're here. If you have, did you have a question, Daniel?
Yeah, basically I bought the system last week, but I've been, practicing, looking at the market. I just want to ask to see if I have the main rules of simplicity. The purple square is the sell zone, right? The hot zone. So I've seen sometimes that I get a green arrow in the red sell zone. Um, I check sometimes. I don't have the too easy scanner to know which are in which if the sellers or buyers are in command. But let's say, for example, I get a green arrow on the sell zone. Usually, does that mean I am confident to take a buy, or should I just say no, no, no? It's in the sell zone, buy and sales. The green and in this case purple zone don't match. I should just wait for another setup. Is that a good way of thinking?
Um, I'm gonna go with no. So you've only been looking at this chart for approximately a week or two. Is that right?
Yeah, for a couple of days. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So I'm guessing what you're doing is you're seeing something like this. I know it's hard to unsee what we've seen, right? But you're referencing a moment like this where this is a sell box and you're getting a buy signal, correct?
Yeah.
Well, in general, that's not going to happen very much because, well, and I don't use this on smaller time frames. So it could be a me issue. It could be, let me be forthcoming to say this could be a me factor. I don't go to the small time frames on simplicity. So that may be why I'm not experiencing that as much. But you should only see that in past moments, not forward moments, because the hot zone, as it's labeled, literally is just a Fibonacci zone. That's all it is. So if this was 100, this would be 0. If this was 0, this would be 100, which would make this the, now y'all are going to make me actually do math. So let me try to do this better. Oh, of course it's going to do it this way. Am I doing that right? I want to do it the other way. So I'm going to delete it. Let me do this accurately. I'm trying to show, delete this and get it again. So the Fibonacci zone is literally, let's try that again. Now we've got it. Nope, it's not going to work. Maybe it'll work. This is, we're at 100%. I was right the first time. I want to do it the other way. I'm deleting all the lines. Sorry, you're going to have to bear with me. As y'all know, I don't use Fibonacci too much because of how it's made. Like numerically, it makes sense. But for me, I don't see it the same way that people do because it's constantly moving. It's constantly adjusting. It has to by nature because that's literally how it's designed. So again, starting from the top, going to the bottom, now that we have the whole screen that we need to see. If this were traced all the way up to here, it'd be 100% retracement if we're measuring from here, right? So this measuring from where it's getting its calculation based off of the settings you have when you click on it, right? So we'll go to indicator, go to simplicity, edit. The hot box is one of these settings, 4 hour. So the market zone period is on the 4 hour. That's where it's getting that data. So that it's, you're finding your Fibonacci zone on the 4 hour time zone. So if you're on the 15-minute time frame, you might be getting a lot of those. And I'm guessing Uncle P would not want you to take it. But I don't trade that way and I would never use it that way. So I should not be your voice of reason on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, because I've been confused where also there's times where market's going up and it's in the, now that I know it's the hot zone, and I'm like, is it gonna break it? Is it gonna go through? Is it gonna bounce? And I am undecisive about either if I should take the trade or not.
Well, let's look at this together. Let's look at it objectively. First, I've got to delete this off because it's going to bug me. Control A. This is telling us that the hot zone is coming from the 4 hour, right? Our indicator is telling us that the hot zone is coming from the 4 hour, which on this time frame would mean this last big wave. Here's the bottom of it. Here's the top of it. If it retraces all the way down to here, right, that's 100% retracement. Right now, we're probably at like the 50, give or take. Not quite. Maybe the 38 point whatever. Okay. But I'm going to draw a vertical line at the bottom of this, and I'm going to draw a vertical line at the top of this. So remember, our indicator setting told us we're getting this hot zone from the
4 hour.
So check it out. Let's go to the 1 hour. In theory, if that's the case, then the 1 hour, this isn't lining up, correct?
No.
Let's go to the 30-minute. If you're ever not sure, go back and check. So this is the last big wave from the 30-minute. I mean, I can see this being a zone measuring from the last wave down. This zone would make sense. The one on the 1 hour, not so much. The one on the 4 hour, I can see that. Let's go to the 15-minute. Same thing. Let's come over. This again lines up pretty smoothly with the 4 hour, or the 1 hour and the 30. This zone makes sense. So treat this with a grain of salt. If it's confusing you, take it off. The hot zone is literally, they're just areas of interest. Whether I drew them, you drew them, or the guy down the street drew them. It's Fibonacci. How this particularly works, you're going to have to bring that to Uncle P's call. He goes live tomorrow morning. I don't want to be wrong. So if anybody else on this call knows better than me, by all means come out. But if this was using a 4 hour zone, these wouldn't be here. We already drew our lines to prove that that was the case, right? So
Yeah.
I can't show you that now because here was one of them, but it's still not lining up, right?
Yeah.
So if this is measuring Fibonacci from the recent biggest push, and this is the most recent biggest push, that makes sense. This is a Fibonacci measurement, which just means this is the top and this is the bottom. If we start to buy up, if we come all the way up to here, it's 100% retracement. That's why this would make this the hot zone. It, in theory, should be measuring the most recent major push. So here, that makes sense. Let's go to the 30. Here, last pullback is here. I see it. I mean, I do see it. Here's the 1 hour. This big push up that makes the top of that zone. It makes our next big drop, just to kind of show you where it's measuring from. This one coming from this big push, that one makes the best sense. But just to kind of show you. So if it's messing you up, just take it off. Take it off and clean it up to where now you're clean and you're clear and you can make decisions and then build it out from there, right?
Yeah, awesome. Because I didn't know it was an option that we could remove the hot zones. But like you said, it's a point of interest. It's not 100% like, like it has to be that. So that I will write that down. Their point of interest.
Amen, please. And if you want to put something on your desk, put that on there. So anything I say or anybody else, they could be the best guru on the planet. Like, stop looking at everything as black and white and end all be all, because it's nothing is. It's just an area. If we draw structure lines, that's all it is. And when you start looking at it like that, it stops becoming so much pressure and have to be this one way or another, and you'll get 10 times farther, 10 times faster.
Thank you, Miss Jenny.
You are welcome. Okay, so are there any other questions? Put that in the chat. Thank you, Miss Donna. I'm going to keep going now just on our list. So I didn't even get halfway, a baby amount of the way through. And we're at 3 trades, 3 all that one. So this one, we were waiting on the sell, like I was saying, and it just wasn't selling. This right here, we waited and waited and waited, and then this happened. Go figure. It's real life. It's real trading. 1 hour time frame was somewhere around here, guys. We have to go off the 3 o'clock for 8 Eastern. This one's a bit tricky because it pushed back up, and depending on your management settings and or your stop losses and everything else, your risk tolerance, your appetite for an ability for, staying in a trade, this may or may not have knocked you out. So we're going to zoom in now that we see that kind of really clearly. Zoom in again. We're going to drag the chart over, get you guys a little dizzy. This is 4-6. 3 o'clock, which is 8 o'clock Eastern, right there. Price moved from, again, the worst place, not the best place. Total of 40 pips against you. On a slow mover, that's nothing to laugh at. This probably freaked people out. On a slow mover, that's a lot of pips. I mean, that's kind of painful. But look what happened. That's 200 pips in your favor. That's 4 times the ADR. 4 times, give or take, the ADR. That's not bad at all. So depending on measurement, you can count this as a win or a loss or even a break even. But again, this trade was right. You can see they won't always be. You need to have a good system in place for when this happens, but not a bad trade. So again, we looked at this last 2 weeks ago, USUJ, okay, to see what happens. This one I did lose on my first entry. I did take another entry because I did take this trade and I was managing it accordingly. But again, this right here knocked me out because of the way my exit was set. That's okay because I got back in. So depending on if you took a loss, you should definitely take out your loss from what you would have entered. So in this case, it would have lost. Well, these settings aren't letting me lose, go figure. I lost around 40 pips. We'll say the full 40 pips. And then you gain that 200, you gain some of those. Not a bad trade to be in at all. Not bad at all. Why is this not working?
Miss Jenny, when you put that line, vertical line at 3, is that representing the London session?
So 4/6 at 3 o'clock is 8 p.m. Eastern time, correct?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So now granted, there's like that 2 or 3 week off period because daylight savings time in this country versus other countries. But I'm pretty sure it was 3. If not, it was 2 or 4 for like 2 weeks at a time. And then it changes back for the rest of the year. It does it again for, it's consistent like most total of 11 months of the year. Then there's that weird, 2-week periods where it's just a little off. So
Yeah, I'm just barely learning that MT4 has a server time, and then I have my own time, and then it's all convoluted for me a little bit, but I've drawn a chart to convert the time zone. So I was wondering if that was like London time and all that, because that's what I'm studying right now. What happens in the London session, and like Uncle P was telling us today that it pulls back or it goes into one direction, but then it goes the other after London session. Like kind of like a fake out. I think he was saying.
well, yeah, every market has volume. London has the most volume. New York is second. There's a beautiful app called Forex Hours, I'm pretty sure, or Golden Hours or something like that. It's free. Download that if you're unsure. But I mean, every session has some room. Every session across the board. Asian obviously has the least amount of volume. And sometimes, yes, during New York, if New York is selling, London will buy. If Asian is kind of flat, New York will sell kind of. You often do get that, the difference in sessions. That's a real topic. It's not
Interesting.
always the case, but it happens often enough. So Derek, just thank you so much, Derek. Posted in the group, it says time zone converter. Is that a indicator, Derek? But he posted something, so you can take a look at that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for your reference, this time on MT4 is typically, now different brokers are a little different, is typically going to be in UTC time. So it's neither.
It's I'm sorry, it's a website that you can enter your time zone, and then it'll let you know the different markets and what time they open and close in reference to your time zone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that.
My pleasure.
Okay, guys, back to you, Jay. If I can talk properly, I'm going to subtract 40 pips from the 200 pip move. Okay, so I'm going to count that as 150 pips because 160, sorry, because I personally took a loss on this pullback. I personally did, right? And that's going to happen in real trading. But as long as you know how to trade, that doesn't have to be the end of the world to find positive pips. Or we can call that one a wash and count it as nothing. So totally up to you on how you want to count this. But I'm literally just one by one going through every trade we went through 2 weeks ago. G all we said no to. G chef we'll take a look at. I'm pretty sure we said no to several of the GBP pairs because they just looked ugly. But we'll take a look for conversational purposes to see what we can see. So again, I'm looking for the same time. And Daniel, what I'm doing is this was the time we had a call a few weeks ago. That's why I'm drawing that arrow. Well, the vertical.
Okay. Like 2 weeks ago when you did the webinar, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Documentation is what I'm going for. Because it's really easy to talk, well, hey, look, guys, this works. Or hey, look, guys, you can win. Or hey, look, guys, it's possible. But until you see, hey, wait, I was on that call. I was present for that. In real day-to-day, it's really easy to take a loss and to get freaked out. Take a loss and say, well, this sucks. Life sucks. Everything sucks. It's hard. It's hard mentally. It's hard emotionally. You're constant in self-review. You're constantly, I don't know, without getting into the super emotional deep levels, it's a constant process. But when you look at this from a bigger view, right? When you look at this from the bird's eye view, you're like, wait a minute. if I would just get over myself long enough to take the trades, and yes, you do need some systems in place. Simplicity will work. You need a good trade manager, and you need a few other rules. That's not enough. Believe it or not, you need a little bit else. And you can be profitable. Like your kid can be profitable. It's literally that easy. But most of it is going to be managing yourself more than the charts, managing yourself more than the trades. So this is just evidence of that, if you will. That's all. GBP Chef, 1 hour time frame. We got the arrow just marginally. This was one of the ones I said yes to. I know we said no because I marked it off on G odd, but I know I wasn't as fond of a few of them. I circled GN, GJ, and G odd as no's. So again, winning trade. This one is a bigger, faster mover, so you can only imagine how many pips that was worth. 400 pips, kind of beautiful. And as you can see, it's not going to happen every time. Period. It's just not going to happen. But knowing when you can take the trades and when you can't is the key to trading. You'll still be wrong sometimes, but that was a 400 pip move in total. All we're going to do is we're going to add these up and say, hey, what if you got 20% of that? 20% of that on this lot size, 20% of that on this lot size, 20% of that on this lot size. How much would you have made in the last 2 weeks? We're just playing a game because there wasn't a whole bunch of brand new setups today anyways. But 4-6 was right here. This is a prime example of a potential loser. Like I said, I didn't go through this without you guys. I waited especially for you guys. So 4-6, that's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, depending on your management, if your stop loss was down here, you didn't lose, depending on your settings, right? Depending on how you're managing it, depending on what you're doing as a trader. Now, long term, in theory, did this win? Yes, it did. But this one, depending on where your stop loss was, would have lost, right? Plus, it gave you another sell signal before it gave you another buy. So this happens in real trading, and this is what makes trading hard. Now, we can't control that. And sometimes having a naked chart or just a completely naked view of things, not with all the stuff and the signals or the strategies put on there, will help you have seen that this was the breakout, a retest, came back up, retest, we failed to make a lower low, and this was going to take off. Now, when you know price action, you know that was happening, but when you don't, you're just at the mercy of, everything. I can't pronounce your name, but you're in NZD CAD? I'll wait for you to respond before I move on, if you will. Let's see. I'll give you a second to type or to unmute yourself. Anyway, so while we wait on him for a second, I'm going to count this as a 30 pip loss. Now, again, in theory, this won. If you just had placed a trade and had nothing going on, this went a whole bunch of pips. But the odds that most of you guys got this many without freaking out, lasted this, didn't freak out when it came back down to here, I'm sure your emotions and your complete mindset was just spent. You were like, I'm not losing any more than I've already lost. Forex is hard, right? And then this happened. This was a total of 220 pips, but I'm not going to count that as a win because of the way this one played out, right? This played out really choppy. It was rough. It was a pain in the butt. It was another one of the ones I was, really confident of, but that's real trading. So counting it as a 30, 40 pip loss, counting it as 40 is what I wrote down just for, again, documentation purposes. We did that one. We're going to do GU and then AN. GU, I was waiting for that buy. It happened too. GU. First, we're adding this up together. So 4-6, 4-6, 4-6, 4-6. It would have been somewhere around here. So we looked at this one. Nothing was happening at all. This is the time frame that we looked for this trade. On the one out, oopsie, one candle over. So there's no entry in and around here. We're nowhere near to an arrow, and they're definitely, at least using the 1 hour, there wasn't a sell here. So that's no trade on GU. Let's go to AN. Might have been looking at the 30, but I don't take trades off of the 30. I mean, I look at the 30, but I don't take trades off of the 30. AN, ta-da. And we're going to do the same thing. This will be the last one. Maybe, baby, maybe. 4-6. 3. We must have been looking at a smaller time frame because otherwise we wouldn't look at these two pairs. We didn't have any signals. But either way, same kind of concept. We don't really get a signal until later on, so we have no trade at this point, at least on the 1 hour time frame. I gotta check the 30 because I'm curious because it was written down that we looked at it. I don't recall if somebody had asked questions about it or why we looked at it, but I did have it on my desk. So I want to honor it and count it for whatever it was giving us at that time. Whatever that was. I was hoping the line would stay there. Don't know why it's not staying there for me. Guess we can do the same thing on the other one. So if we're looking at the 30, this moved somewhat in our favor. That's 40-ish pips. 40 pips, give or take, if we were looking at the 30. I don't typically trade too much on the 30. I know that Uncle P, I think we were talking about it, so they could have been that. We'll see. To the person who's still in NZD CAD, are you trying to sell that? Or are you trying to buy it? Because it's massively buying. How long are you planning on holding that sell if you're selling it? They're in the chat, guys, so we're just kind of going to here. Stop being a pain in the butt. There we go. Hopefully that'll stay still. 4, 6 at 3 o'clock. This is when we looked at that. There's really no signal yet. We can't take this one. This is too late. This is 3 waves after the arrow. Nothing is happening. So I won't count AN, even though AN gave us 40 pips. But altogether, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to do my math, which is let's see, 120 on CAD Chef, 140 on CAD JPY, 240 on EuroCAD, 160 because we are counting a loss and a win on USD JPY, plus 400 on CAD Chef and minus 40 on NZD CAD, even though technically we're in our favor. That's 1,000 pips, reasonably hands-free with 15 minutes of your time. So 1,000 pips on 0.01, right? So I have to do that. Let's see, 1,000 pips on a 0.01 is already your $100, right? And I wish I was doing this on screen, but I'm not that fancy, so I'm totally not going to do it on screen. I'm going to totally do it with my voice. But if you had a 0.1, okay, which is what? It's $1 a pip on Forex pairs, and this is rounded to be a US dollar value. There are variations because every pair has a different value. But 1,000 pips times $1 a pip, right? You're at $1,000. What if you had a 0.5, which is, 50? That's $50, right? Do you guys have any idea what's possible with just getting that many pips every 2 weeks, which took us about an hour of our time to look for those trades? And that's it. Just 1 hour of our time to see what's possible. If the 0.01 is 10 cents, right? 10 cents per trade. A 0.1 is $1 per trade. And some of you guys have accounts or AFX that would allow you to trade a standard, which is $10 per trade. So $10 per trade at 1,000 pips, that was your $10,000. $10,000 in 2 weeks using the right broker, which are, again, they're in the links of the chats, they're in the links of the groups. The right broker will allow you to trade every single one of those pairs we just listed at pretty high leverage and done with no swap fees and no commissions on a standard lot, which, I'm not supposed to say this. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you could trade 1,000, a standard lot size on a $200 account. Actually, you can trade 2 standard lot sizes on a $100 account with the AFX broker that's in the chat and that's in the groups. You can trade 2 standard lots. That's $10,000 in 2 weeks' time with wins and with losses. So even if you only got a really small fraction of that and ended up with $4,000 in 2 weeks' time, that's more than most of y'all make in a day job. That's more than some people with a master's degree makes. So that was kind of the big lesson, and I'm no good at all the hype for as high energy and as bubbly as I am in real life. I don't do hype too well. I just want to teach you guys the ins and the outs of what's possible on a realistic, yes, shoot for the moon, but, still plan on climbing the mountain kind of mentality way. That is what my end all goal is. So, ta-da. Anybody have any questions, comments, pairs you guys want to take a look at? I did look a little bit yesterday morning. There wasn't a lot setting up. The bigger moves on the CAD pairs happened, and I'm kind of chilling on some of the other pairs, waiting for a slightly better setup personally. That one's not horrible. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you. I have to be goofy, otherwise this gets real dull. But honest, guys, my Tuesdays are my favorite days lately. I love our morning group. I love the people. I love the feeling that we have when we get off the call, even when we don't always have great trades. Like hopefully it still comes to break even or like a general net profitability. But the camaraderie and the fellowship and just the good people, it's amazing. So I wouldn't trade that for the world at all. This is not bad, but we have no entry because price really isn't moving in the right way yet. Odds are we can come all the way down to here. We have room. But I don't like 30-minute trades so much. I want more confirmation. Okay, we've got about 2 minutes left. I will click through a couple of pairs. So if you have a specific pair, please put it in the chat. If you have any questions, comments about structure, basic trading management, simplicity, settings, or anything that's not directly related to, the morning golden strategy scalping session, right now is your time. And I think Mr. Scott, what do you do for a living, is getting ready to unmute himself and tell us a little bit about when his ATM is coming.
I just tuned in, so mostly I was unmuting myself to find out if you were looking for me earlier. But what I do for a living, I own an engineering business. I used to own a recording studio. Mostly it's the engineering business that's paying the bills, but I don't spend much time actually doing anything there. Mostly I'm writing code for traders these days.
Right. That's awesome. Well, they asked, and I was like, I feel really bad that I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's related to engineering and logistics of some kind.
I was close.
Yep, my company designs tests for circuit boards.
I knew that. Circuit boards, see? I knew that. I knew the answer. I just didn't remember the answer.
I told my dad.
So you do prototypes?
For years. Do we do prototypes?
Prototypes?
I mean, do we test them or do we
Design prototypes?
Sort of. For our own purposes, I design circuit boards that are very short run for my own purposes. But no, what we do is we take a design from other companies and we determine how to test it in production.
Got you. Mm-hmm.
So we don't actually do the testing. We design the test and the customers run them on site.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Hey, Scott, you got, first of all, I'm going to snitch on Derek. He said that you're a belly dancer when I asked him what you did for a living, just so you know.
A ballet dancer, huh?
And secondly, somebody had asked.
Belly dancer.
Belly down there. I've been known to dance with my belly occasionally. It comes along,
Gotta try, gotta get it in somehow.
Well, you have the right teacher,
I do indeed. Actually, I've never taken a lesson from her in my life. I've taught several lessons with her fairly frequently, but we haven't been teaching dance since the pandemic started.
Are you guys gonna pick it back up there now that you're getting settled?
Yeah, she is chomping at the bit to do it and is just trying to figure out when to make it happen.
Okay. Well, I'm wishing you all the luck and good vibes to make that happen. I think hopefully it'll do well up there.
Well, it's her bread and butter has been West Coast swing, and there is not a West Coast swing community here. So she's going to be building something from scratch.
Kind of the best. It might be the best way to be, It might be.
Well, lately she's been really enjoying teaching non-dancers to dance, and she finds it incredibly rewarding. People that think that they can't possibly dance, and they can walk away in 2 and 3 lessons actually feeling comfortable going out and dancing.
That's awesome. She's still going to have to, work with me because all those Latin dances I could still use some help on. If it's not Zumba related, I need work.
I'm down for salsa. I know how to dance salsa.
Uh-oh.
Salsa. I want to Dada.
Well, That's my home country's main dancing. So whenever you're ready, ma'am, you know, you
Where's
teach
your
me
home
Latin,
country?
I'll teach you bachata.
Aren't you the one who's like an hour from me? Are you an
Uh,
hour?
I'm in Eastern time in Florida.
Are you the one who's on this morning? Where in Florida? Because I think there was a Daniel this morning who's an hour from me outside of Gainesville or something.
No, that wasn't me though. No, I was in Uncle Pete's class, but I live by Orlando area, so
Gotcha. I'm north. I'm Jacksonville, Fleming Island area, so not too far.
not too far, man.
Not too far at all. All right. Hey, real quick, NZD's got not a bad signal. I'm going to tell you real quick before you guys decide to take this. There's a trend. We still need candles to confirm. And then you're just looking for your next targets. But that's enough for tonight. I'm going to see if Scott doesn't mind real quick to tell us. This is live, Scott. This is live on YouTube and it will hopefully get better. We're getting better at thumbnails and we're going to get good at it eventually. So we had some questions because like I told you, the ATM I think is amazing. And I think, you know, you're getting real close to having it ready for the general public. So for the gentleman who had questions, are you still on here about the ATM? Maybe he can come on out and answer anything. John, what's your question first? John, go ahead.
Yes. Good evening. I'm sorry. I'm usually always just looking at you on YouTube. And I'm just keeping quiet, just trying to learn. But I'm having a hard time, and I know it's called Super EZ and all that kind of stuff, but I'm having a hard time with it. Okay. And I've tried because your screen looks completely different than Uncle P's screen. Because I look at him in the morning. What's the difference between what you do and what he does? And what's the chat that I need to join to be around you in the morning or whatever it is? I really don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm always just listening and trying to. I don't want to interrupt when you teach or anything like that. So that's why.
Well, first off, welcome, John. We super appreciate that you're here. So for starters, to join the morning group, you have to go to the website and click on, I don't know if it's 3 or 5, but it says advanced membership group. And that's where you will go to find the morning classes and the kind of more advanced stuff is what we call it, because we go deep and we go heavy. Now, having said that, that's where you're going to get the most information. But to address the difference in terms of Uncle P and mine's chart, I would hope that most of our charts are all a little differing. And the reason why is because none of us are the same, right? So I don't care if it's the same strategy, the same system. Ultimately, your job is to come in here, gain, cultivate a strategy, a system that works for you in your time zone, in your real life, how your eyes see the candles and the market, how your emotions handle the trades and the ins and outs and the overboughts and oversolds, basically how you are and who you are as a person. So yes, Uncle P and I are going to differ. He really sticks to super easy. Like tried and true. He's going with super easy. This is it. 1, 2, 3. Whereas with me, we're going to go more in depth. We're going to say, okay, guy, who are you? Let's get to know you. Let's see how you see things. And let's take all of what we know and let's build something that works kind of for you. Let's cultivate it and then test it forward, test it backward, and keep, tweaking it to be for you, by you, whatever. So
Right.
John, when you say her chart looks completely different from Uncle P's, what do you mean by that? Because I'm seeing something that looks like pretty stock simplicity.
Okay. Well, with me, let me just say about me first of all. I learned about trading from another company. I don't want to say the name, and but it's a 3-letter word. That's all I'm gonna say. And
Profanity.
Yeah, it's a 3-letter word.
Start with die, huh?
Yes. And we had to learn every strategy, like every type of a strategy, every type of a trend line, every type of a this, that, right? And so whenever I see somebody's screen or I see anything, it's like I know all types of strategies everywhere and they all conflict each other. And a lot of the times I'm like, for example, that trade where you are, in NZD USD, that arrow doesn't usually show up right there to go down. It usually shows up underneath this zone. Is your arrow a little tighter than somebody else's?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Is now the trend surfer that looks like a 50 line. Okay, and the yellow looks like a 200 or a 100. 250. Okay, no problem. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out, what am I getting wrong? You get what I'm saying?
Well, it's not necessarily that you're wrong. It's just that it's different. You need to see what price does relative to what you have on your screen and start to make some decisions based on that. Don't let the indicator decide for you. You watch what the indicator is doing and you decide for what price is doing relative to your indicator.
I understand, sir. I understand.
So I'm going to piggyback off of him for just a second. What Scott just said is correct. No indicator should tell you what to do ever. So I will tell you, I was also in IML. I think it has a lot to value in terms of somebody like me who didn't know squat about trading, right? I didn't know anything.
Neither did I. But I learned quick, and I was so analytical to the point where I could figure anything out. I was like a analysis nerd, if you will.
But that's a blessing and a curse because now you're technically not proficient, are you?
No, and that's one of my big issues.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to tell you. You clearly, if you completed most of the courses in IML, odds are you are technically knowledgeable, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to use my terminology. It's a little bit imperfect, so just bear with me for a second. Meaning, you know a little bit about trend lines, you know a little bit about, strategies, prairie bars, scalping, swinging. But now your job is like, I don't know which educator in IML you resonated with the most. Who was it by chance? I mean, they might have been a little different now, but who?
Okay, it was two of them. One was called Dr. Kathy Kirkland. She was a cloud person, and there was another guy named Manny Quinones.
I'm not familiar with Manny's style. I'm pretty sure he does crypto, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
He does. But I never did crypto. I just used his strategies for Forex.
Okay.
Because usually in crypto, it's in a Forex format where you pit a crypto against a dollar of some sort.
Okay. So Kathy is awesome, right? I'm going to go off of what I know. I'm not going to talk about Manny's because I don't recall it. I know he did crypto. I don't recall what his strategy was. But take what you know and take the tools you have access to, whether that be me and my little golden strategy in the morning, whether that be simplicity, whether that be Ichimoku, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care what it is, but your job is to build a chart that your eyes can see. And then from there, we're going to back test and forward trade, tweak, back test and forward trade, tweak. And literally, if I could just knock on everyone's forehead just for half a second to say, hey, listen, Linda, listen, just do this. I assure you that will work. But my goal for you would be to dive deep into yourself to say, okay, what styles work for me? Do you like trending, counter trend trading? Do you feel comfortable with overbought, oversold entries, or do you like to go, on a more confirmed? Do you?
I love trend trading, but I want to be able to get in at the beginning of the trade. So what I do is I usually put myself at the 4 hour and figure out where the trend is and draw my trend lines and use my 15-minute for an entry. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I know that sounds pretty standard, but that's normally what I do. But sometimes I've just been like losing for the last couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just trying to figure out, is there something I'm missing? You know what I'm saying? Or is there something I'm doing wrong?
The problem is most people have one or two things happen. Like when they get a new system or they revamp their entire strategy, they get that lucky streak for 2 or 3 weeks and then think it sucks, or they lose for 2 or 3 weeks while they're trying to cultivate it to themselves. But either way, it's typically not the system or the strategy's fault. It's a you issue. Like, that's kind of a really fair way to say it. So moving beyond that, take your cloud, take what you're doing that works for you, the 4 hour, 15. I think Uncle P even has a strategy called the 415.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, so I don't want to, misteach what it is.
Right. But but what I do is I go on the 4 hour and draw up everything, and all of my trend lines and all of my horizontal lines, like what you do here, and then I go on the 15-minute and search for areas where they cross, or in reference to my my indicator, of course. And then I'll look for setups there. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, of course it is. So like you can do the same thing with simplicity. You can do the same thing with Ichimoku. You can take everything you know and now fine tune it to you. So if you like the 4 hour, 1 hour, so for example, you got a signal because you have this system or what have you,
Mhm.
and now you want to get the best entry. So
Right.
you can wait for the break is something I would do, right? Or you can
Right.
say, no, I'm going to go to the 15 and now I'm going to wait until I get a 15 reason to sell. And in this case, we've missed it, which means we have to wait for the retest and then the re-entry.
And then the retest. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can do that, but you have to give yourself the time to get good at doing that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There's only one thing he's missing.
What?
What's that?
That's joining the We the People Forex family and trade ideas group.
Right.
Where were they?
That's
We
us.
have this little cute young Italian Colorado lady who lives in Florida.
Oh. Okay.
And we have Dr. Scotty,
Mhm.
who runs the spaceship. And
It's-
we're on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, sir.
Derek, I can't take
John, don't
it
listen to
anymore.
him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And you get to talk in this group.
Right. I understand.
Yeah, it's probably more interactive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Writing.
I'm being sarcastic and serious at the same time.
I get it. I you know, but I'm very new to like groups like this, so you know, thanks for easing my my anxiety.
But here's the thing I would say,
Yes.
what you're saying is that you know a lot of strategies and they conflict with each other. Well, yes, they do. And you need to pick something. So take a strategy, it can be simplicity, it can be, there's many different ways to trade the Ichimoku. Find something that you have some comfort with and that you understand, and just by God, trade that for a while.
Right.
Don't look at other things that are conflicting with that. Trade your system and see what your expectancy is.
I understand. I understand.
If you jump around, you're going to drive yourself nuts.
I understand.
And
Bruce
I
is-
would like to say something like I understand, completely understand you. I'm brand new, and just like you, I was going up and down with different groups, learning different strategies, cracking my head open. And when I saw this scanner program, EA, whatever you want to call it, I had anxieties because I didn't know how to use it. And then, because I was still engraved with the other teachings of other gurus, mentors, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? So just like Miss Jenny said, I had to take like a few days.
Right.
I already told you, Miss Jenny. I took a few days. I didn't do anything. I didn't trade. I was just seeing how the scanner works and how I can use it as a complement to what I know. And
Right.
so far, it works perfectly. For example, with the scanner,
Mhm.
I get a signal, and then I just see what the scanner tells me of that buy or sell signal, and then I make the choice.
Mhm. I understand, man. I understand. Thank y'all so much, man, for your help, man. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm just gonna be here listening. I don't really talk that much, man, but thank you. Oh, you said that Miss Jenny said, yeah,
All the classes you can.
yes, sir. You said, Miss Jenny, that you sent a an indicator in a group or something like that. Where do I find it?
Oh, I said that this morning. So you were on this morning then, yeah?
No. You said it tonight.
Which indicator? Sorry. Oh,
The
okay.
buy signal or the not signal or whatever it was.
By this bar alert.
Okay, where do I find this?
So we try to teach independence for better and worse. So what I want you to do is go to Telegram and click on files, and it's going to take some digging, but I promise you, you're going to find something that's called bar alert. So it's an EX4, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
Okay.
You'll find it.
There's two Super EZ Forex chats.
Well, there's actually like more than that, but the two that you're in, yes, it should be in both the notifications group as well as the Super EZ group as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you type it in the files, you will find it. And then if you've done your due diligence, then come and ask, and you can DM me on Telegram and I'll get it to you. Otherwise, I assure you it's there.
Okay, no problem.
I already found it. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, which group you went in the notifications one?
Yeah, I found it in the notifications one. Just Telegram has an option that you can look for only files. So if you choose the option for files and just scroll down, you're going to find it. It's just #baralert.ex file.
Thank you so much, man. Thank y'all so much, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right. Anybody else? There's a couple people who are unmuted. Otherwise, I'm going to let Scott come out because somebody had a question in terms of the ATM. Scott, the question was something on lines of, Guy, when is it going to be ready? And what is your price point? I know that there was some feedback in terms of price point. So I don't know if you want to discuss that on the live YouTube, because hopefully this brings you some business here in the next couple of weeks or whenever you're ready to launch. But we'll totally up to you on what you want to announce or not, because it's live. We'll get some views. I don't know how many, but some.
Oh, full retail price is going to be $300.
Okay.
There will be occasional sales. For people who have been helpful with me developing this, I will be providing coupons when it goes on the market. Once you feel like giving me a gift, don't just go run out and buy it. Wait for your coupons to come.
And timeline?
Timeline, I'm pedaling as fast as I can. With a gigantic disclaimer, we just moved into a new house. What was it, a week ago? 2 weeks ago
Congratulations.
today. 2 weeks ago today. And I mean, I was unpacking before I came down here tonight. Still taking things out of boxes. Had the floors refinished. I have a plumber showing up on Tuesday to replace all the pipes in the house because it's got 100-year-old galvanized pipes in the walls.
Oh, yes.
And we've got hot and cold running trickles in the kitchen right now.
Uh-oh.
So I've been uncovering pipes and getting ready for the plumber to come in. I need to tear up the bathroom floor. Going to be redoing the kitchen. So this is all in the background of trying to open up a shop. So I'm doing the best I can here. I jumped another hurdle today. I figured out how to get past my demo issue, and I'm getting there. When it opens up, it's not going to be full on pretty, but you'll be able to buy things.
We can live with that.
And the way this is going to be licensed is that when you buy this, it is not for this revision. It is not for this revision plus another revision. It's going to be a lifetime license when you buy it. So once you buy ATM, you own ATM.
Forever, guys. So there you have it. Hey, Scott, you always could tell me when I have a bad sound, so I'm going to tell you your sound is a little off tonight. Is it a different location or different mic, or what's up?
Different mic at the moment.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm using a USB mic that is not my normal mic.
Okay, I'm like, your sounds, it's like you guys making fun of me for me sounding like I'm in a bathroom, because that's kind of what it sounds like.
Well, let
Just
me
so you
check and
know.
see which mic is selected here.
And I think you fixed my problem with the whole, blasting music when I'm in the mood. And now when I come back on, it hasn't been happening anymore. So whatever setting we changed, I think it worked. Whatever that one was, just so you know.
Yeah,
But okay, guys.
I'll get my regular mic set up after I don't have to move for the plumber.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody have any questions, comments in terms of that information thus far, or a couple of pairs to look at? Anything at all? I mean, I guess I'll look at a few pairs if y'all are hanging out. Donna, is YouTube good? Let me check real quick. Actually, wrong thing. Wrong.
Yeah, YouTube's good. Somebody wants to know about EG.
Let's see. All these indicators are available.
Hello.
I'm here. We hear you, girl. We hear you.
I hear the tacos in you.
Oh,
Donna.
okay.
That's that country living. That's the country living for you folks right there. You heard it first here. Okay. You heard it first here.
There's a delay.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, guys, let's look at EG real quick and then we'll pop off. I'm going to take Ichimoku. Well, I guess we'll leave it on. It's going to look a little ugly. Get over it. Sorry, but this is real life. So actually, I might have to take it off because it's pretty ugly. Let's see. Let's get to a good spot. 4-hour time frame. Nice buy up. Impulse move down. Correction. Let's see what we can't see on the grand scheme of things. This was a question on YouTube, Donna. I didn't see it. Oh, EG. I saw it. Okay. EG. So I don't know if you can answer a person on YouTube or not, or if you'll answer quick enough with all the lags, but what time frame are you looking at, for a scalp or for a long-term trade? Because long-term, and this is a big, big fall, right? nice little pullback and it kind of came through. That's great. But let me take off the cloud. We're above the cloud. We're inside the cloud right now. Got a twist coming. Let's take off the twist and the cloud. Delete the Ichimoku. Hit OK. Hey guys, I can even say Ichimoku now without stuttering. I just wanted to say that because I feel like that deserves an Academy Award. Gotta have some fun. What are time frame?
What do you call the lines?
One of them is called the Tingen. Oh my gosh.
Got you.
Leave it to Scott to do that, just so everybody knows, okay?
Sorry about that.
I'm gonna get it and then I'm gonna come to you. It's better than Hikanashi Ashi, so we're moving up at least. We're going on the upward swing.
My favorite.
Right? It worked. It definitely worked.
Sounds like a clothing store.
Well, I would buy from there. Okay, so Euro GBP, huge trend line. We broke the trend line. Scott was kind enough to draw it. We broke through it, retested it, kind of great, but still, this is a big, big move for that market to digest, right? That's huge. It's been falling, huge. It's been falling. I'm going to say this out loud and publicly, the EG, I really feel like, and I make fun of myself for it, but if you ask me for advice on EG, you probably should do the opposite of whatever I said, because a handful of years ago, I decided I was going to perfect this pair because it's one of the highest paid pairs. And needless to say, it was probably just bad timing, but ultimately I failed that challenge. I failed myself and I despise this pair. So all that aside, big, big moves. This is massively trending down, day time frame, potential head and shoulders kind of forming. It definitely has some room to push up, but we're selling, right? So if we take any buy we take as a counter trend trade, anytime we try to buy in this big, big market, which has been going on for, let's see, all year, right? It's been selling all year, is a counter trend trade. But daily time frame, it's a little hard to see because of the indicator on here. This is big, beautiful impulse candles. This is what we want to see, right? Is an impulse candle. We want to see the correction to this area, and then we want to see the continuation, which would mean, and this is swing trade analysis. This is not a scalp analysis, but my target would be previous structure, right? My target would be all the way up here. So from where price is currently at, you can see it via that gray line, white highlight over here, from where price is currently at. That's only 200 some odd pips. So this isn't a fast mover, but it is an expensive pair. So this is not going to be something that pumps out hundreds of pips. This took many, many weeks to get that many pips. Just to give you an idea, this is a very slow moving pair, and it's actually sped up since, what it was at before, right? A bigger time frame analysis, this looks like it's ready for the, pullback for the buy, at least to some extent. If we break, obviously, the necklines on the huge time frames, you're looking for the long-term buy. 4-hour time frame is giving us a sell signal, at least on this system. First off, the sell signal isn't valid yet in terms of my rules for this strategy because we're not breaking lower lows. So that is invalid in my eyes of how I trade in the rules I have for myself. That's a no-go. This is a beautiful breakout of the 50, a retest, and we're looking for the continuation on the buy. Let's go to the 1 hour. 1 hour, again, you've got the sell-off, which 1 hour, smaller time frames, I wouldn't mind so much, but notice how you get the signal and then you do start moving in that right direction. Pull back, but there you go. This is a nice little ascending channel, flag formation, impulse. So we could, shorter term time frame analysis, we could get a little bit more of a sell. Let's see. One more wave down, anywhere even to here. This is short term though. This is really short term. That's not bad. That's 80, 90 pips. 80 pips. Will we get that far down? I don't know. Because if this is the impulse move to the top side, we'd be looking for a potential corrective wave, which is in theory, it's supposed to be 3 waves. This has only given us 2. So we have a little bit more room to push. And I'm just breaking it down with what we know, right? Like anything else, there's many, many views on this. 30-minute time frame, definitely more in line with this for sure. But this is an impulse move on the smaller time frames. That's a big impulse to the downside. This is kind of that ascending channel, right? This is really tight, small candles. See how tight and small they are? It's not like normal price movement that has slight highs, slight lows, is, you know, moving either sideways or even a normal shape of up and down with normal pullbacks. This is an ascending channel. That's really tight, small candles all the way up. So getting some kind of correction off of this is very, very likely. So my overall analysis, simplicity aside, is short-term sell, possible long-term buy with confirmations. That's what I would be looking for. We're here now. We're testing previous low. I'd look for at least, you know, some amount of pips on the sell-off, up to 90, but maybe a minimum of 20 or so. Minimum 20 pips up to 90 on the sell, and then I'd be looking for the confirmation to buy.
Right now, we're at about 50% of this impulse move down here.
Yeah, you see how it perfectly came and retested that? That's what I'm seeing. Did they answer on YouTube, Donna, to see what time frame they were looking at? Let me see real quick. He's not on here, or he's not answering. But either way, yeah, I'm seeing potential short-term sell. If we continue to break lower lows, then you're looking for more of the same. You're looking for more of that huge move to the downside. Otherwise, going off of the bigger time frame analysis, this is a nice impulse. This is your slight correction. We're looking to buy up, which on a slow mover, this isn't as many pips as we would want it to be, unfortunately. But that's how this kind of pair trades. So still not bad, just something to look at. There's your short-term and your longer-term analysis, just for technical analysis to see what you see on the candles. Indicators are just second to candles. Indicators are in addition to the information you know. So I hope that helps. All right, that's enough for tonight. Thank you, everyone who comes and hangs out and laughs and participates. This would not be half of what it is without you guys. So thank you for being you. Thank you for hanging out. We will go live again next Tuesday. Well, not next Tuesday, but one Tuesday after that. We're trying to do the first and third Tuesday of every month. And ideally, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look for some setups, provided that they're setting up, right? We don't get to control the market. We're just hopeful to be on the right side of it. And then we're going to see how they play out in 2 weeks. So if I do this enough, I can show you guys in real time, because it's really easy to make a YouTube video that says, look at these winning trades or look at these pips and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's really easy to show the winning ones and not show the losing ones, or only show some of the losing ones. And that's easy. But if you can see this in time after time, what's possible, the good, the bad, and the ugly, hopefully you guys can get to yourselves to a point where you say, hey, wait a minute, one way or another, I can do this. Like, this isn't near as complex as I thought it was. So, but that's enough for tonight. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Happy Taco Tuesday. Take care and God bless.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.